Through the mists comes forth RPGaDay! In the year 2021, RPGaDay comes back for its 8th year. A time in August when every day we tackle another question or topic by answering in a way that uplifts the gaming community and answers questions people might have about this crazy hobby of ours that serves to build the community and bring it up, that many of us make blogs about, video blogs, art, or great works. In celebration of the community of gamers, I welcome you to RPGaDay 2021. Hello, I am Rob, sometimes the Dungeon Tutor and sometimes Omnisci, here for another RPGaDay question. And this little mask is something that I found at a thrift store, and I got it for the campaign that we were running in 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, the Tyranny of Dragons story path, Horde of the Dragon Queen, first part, and Rise of Tiamat, second part. It was a fun game. I bought these masks to kind of signify the progress that we had made. Got a variety of different colors, so, it actually worked out pretty well, considering, what we were doing, the whole thing. But today is the 15th of August, about halfway there. And that means it's the 15th topic, which is supplement. So a supplement, of course, is something that you use to enhance or strengthen something. For instance, a dietary supplement like a vitamin can be taken to strengthen your body and your dietary, satisfaction. Everything that you need in your food can be supplemented by taking one of these pills and therefore giving yourself things that you kind of need to make yourself healthier and stronger. Well, games can have that too. Sometimes you can supplement a game with the addition of props like this mask, which was kind of cool. As long as it doesn't become a distraction. For instance, if I wear this at the game table, I think it looks kind of cool. And it gets the point across. My character is wearing and has access to the powers of the Red Dragon mask in this case. So, cool. And if I don't want it in front of my face, I can just raise it up like this, and it's not too bad. But there can be downsides to supplements, certainly, too. For instance, if this thing gets in the way, or this costs me too much, and now I have to worry if it's going to get damaged, I can't pass it over to a friend in case he might rack it or something like that, then the supplement has gotten in the way. If the DM declares that I have to wear this all the time, and if it covered up my mouth to the point it's really hard to communicate, then that's a hindrance. It's not supplementing, it's not enhancing things as much as it is getting in your way. Now, other things you can use to enhance, but not necessarily be a supplement. For example, I find that having handy decor around can be useful for enhancing the mood, but it's really not a supplement. It's tangential. It doesn't really have any impact on your game. But other supplements can have a very material effect on the game. This one is nice for putting you in the feel of things, but having an actual source book or resource book can really help your supplements. And I thought I would share with you the very first supplement I ever got for a role-playing game. Now, books that you can get are generally categorized into different things based on their purpose. For instance, a core rule book is one of the more essential books that you're going to need to play a game. It's got all the rules on how to play, how to create a character, how to do things using that character within the game. Oftentimes, there's elements on how to run the game and different creatures and obstacles that you might encounter and how to deal with those in the game, how your players get by them. So those are your core books. Then you have source books. These are filled with what is called fluff and have a lot of information and background things so that you can make the world that your players are experiencing come to life before them. And these often are going to be ones that are very closely tied in with the fiction or set events into motion so that you can relate a story to your players. They'll often have some statistics for various characters and the like, but the focus on them isn't necessarily to expand on the rules or to give you lots and lots of different opportunities for going outside of the rules and options that the core books have. They might have one or two such things, but generally they're there more to enhance the lore, to enhance the world around that the characters might adventure in, to give the game master some ideas that they can use going forward in the game. And those can be some of the things that I enjoy the most as far as supplements go, because, as I said, they do help to make your world better and cooler and help you in the running of your game. Another type of supplement is often, especially depending on the the vulgarity of it, called a splat book. It's a supplemental book that gives you new options and abilities. And in some cases, like this, the very first one I ever bought, the Street Samurai catalog, this one can give you all sorts of different ways that you can enhance your character. This one is by adding gear and cybernetics to a character from the game of Shadowrun, first edition. And I really love this one because, number one, it does a really good job of giving you more and cooler things to find in the world of Shadowrun, which is already pretty full of cool and fun things. But it's also got a lot of character and heart built into it. For example, for any of the items that you can buy, there's always a little block of text and sometimes dialogue with Shadowrunners in that world talking about the item, the strengths and the weaknesses they might have. Oftentimes these don't have mechanical impacts, but these biases might be something that a game master can use playing and running the game to talk about and make the world a little bit more real for their characters. Plus, it's full of the jargon and language of the game, which I find to be useful for putting yourself in the mindset of a character that's in that world. And some of it is actually rather humorous. You have people with long-standing rivalries, for instance, who clash verbally in this game. So they do so in this book, and it's quite good. Some of the items can be very, very useful to Shadowrunners. All kinds of different ideas that they expanded upon, not unlike downloadable content for a video game. And like such things like downloadable content for a video game, it's very a la carte. You can choose those kind of things to alter the direction your characters might go, to enhance things and give more variables to the players to consider for their character options. And in some cases, they can even provide whole new experiences. For instance, if you get many of the Matrix books for the game of Shadowrun, you can run Matrix adventures that can be just as rich, detailed, and involved, and sometimes quite wacky, compared to Shadowrunning in the flesh. And if you get the Magic book, for example, the Grimoire for Shadowrun, it talks about running astral adventures. Now again, you're talking really trippy. One of the weaknesses Shadowrun has is that sometimes characters are screened out of such adventures, and it's more important to know that they're just there, as opposed to necessarily running those adventures. For instance, if only one person in your group is a shaman, interesting adventures through astral space might not be the norm, considering most of the other players can't go into astral space. They have no magic connection. So you'd have to come up with some sort of contrivance for them to tag along and contribute, if that's even possible in your game. Of course, it's your game, it's your world, you can do what you want, but something to think about. Not all of these are made equally. Supplements can be amazing at giving you new things to do. For example, I can't imagine running in a Shadowrun adventure and not including the things from the Street Samurai catalog. And if I'm doing one of the more modern ones, for example, the latest edition, they had a book called Street Lethal, which I have. It's full of things that are very much in line. And the nice thing is the companies that are still running Shadowrun really took the ball that FastStop put out with the original editions, and they really kept a lot of the same themes, despite the fact that it's passed through two different companies' hands. I find that to be really nice, because a lot of times when a company grabs a hold of an IP they didn't create, they don't show proper respect to the atmosphere that the game tried to portray or the character of the game. And I think that's a strength that Shadowrun has had, is that it's always kind of kept a uniform theme even throughout multiple people handling it, which is cool. So yeah, different supplements, different levels of quality and how much they can add to your game. And again, some of these are called splat books, and I find that to be a somewhat derogatory term. Most people dismissively consider books like that splat books. Some of the most infamous ones were back in the open license days of 3rd edition Dungeons & Dragons, when anybody could make a book, say it's for Dungeons & Dragons, and sell it, and Wizards of the Coast just asked them to put a block of text saying all the actual core mechanics of this game are for Wizards of the Coast. We're just using this license to make our own stuff. And a lot of people did. The problem was the quality went all over the map. There were some companies that literally just churned out material, and the play testing I had to feel was minimal, because anybody who really tried to understand the impact of some of the new rules or some of the new gear, it just didn't work. Either it was too powerful or not powerful enough, and all under the banner of give people options. Sure, but if something was set to potentially break the balances of your game and mess with how your game was going to work, you really should know what you were getting into when you did one of those. So I was relatively leery, and when I was in back running games in 3rd edition, there were some things that I just would not allow because I knew they contained broken content that I didn't want to use. And not all of those are necessarily third-party things. There were some things from Wizards of the Coast produced items that I just disallowed, purely on the basis that they were so broken that why wouldn't you use this if it was an option? One of the examples was the Mercurial Greatsword from Sword and Fist. Basically, somebody took an idea of modern baseball bats that have a liquid core and said, why wouldn't they apply that to swords? So that you have a reservoir, a hollow reservoir in the center of your sword, and when you swing, the reservoir goes up to the tip and adds extra weight. That's a really stupid idea. I'm sorry. A blade isn't thick enough for that to have any real impact. A bat, yeah, something the size of a baseball bat, but a sword is just dumb. And even if you have this odd sword with a large flared head that could contain something like that, it would be more like an axe than anything anyhow. But the numbers they gave for it were bigger damage code than a greatsword and still keeping a wide critical threat range similar to a smaller sword. So you had the benefits of both. They argued that because it was an exotic weapon and you needed a feat to be able to use it effectively, and it had a higher expense, although cost in 3rd edition D&D was negligible. I mean, you were going to walk around with thousands of gold worth of stuff very quickly. So costing 300 gold was not a barrier to entry at all. All of a sudden, you'd have to ask yourself, if I'm playing a martial character, a fighter of some sort, who can get an exotic weapon feat, why wouldn't I take this weapon? It's clearly better than anything else of its class. And that's really what a lot of those splat books did. They came up with a series of rules to entice people to buy the books, sure, but a bunch of broken rules that could potentially throw the balance of the game out of whack, in a game that already had balance issues anyhow. And other games have done similar things. So I generally recommend, if you're thinking about getting a supplement, something catches your eye at a game store or something, or online, or what have you. We get bombarded by advertisements wherever we are. And now that many of us are online, yeah, online sellers, they advertise too, and we get targeted by that advertisement, I know. But when you see something, knee-jerk reactions and impulse buys can really set you up to have a library that's full of books of questionable quality that may not necessarily reflect the game you want to run or the experience that you want to have at your table. So just generally a little research is awfully handy. And yeah, I know, if you know me, I'm a guy who is prone to knee-jerk reactions, and sometimes seeing something that with a price that's too good to be true oftentimes is. I accept that and I understand that. But, you know, there are bargains to be had out there too. So, at any rate, that's my thoughts on supplements, and in general, I find they enhance your game. It's cool to have, but they're always optional. They supplement what is already good, you hope. So if your game is already good, the supplement isn't necessary. It just might be kind of cool, to it might be really awesome. And again, online scuttlebutt will often tell you which way you're going. If you're ever curious about a supplement, you want to know more about it, you want to track it down, send me a message. I have no problem covering the ins and outs, the benefits, the pros and cons of a particular supplement and laying them bare before you. I have many that I plan on doing just that with in time, but you can direct the conversation if you'd like. On my Dungeon Tutor channel, I will be going into in-depth analysis on a lot of these books and supplements to help you get the most bang for your buck and to pull out the best kernels of useful information and game material that you can with your purchase. So, I hope this helps. Anyhow, I'm Rob. Thanks for joining me. You can always find me on Lair of Omnici or on Dungeon Tutor, my channels. And we always talk gaming and all kinds of fun things. Hopefully we'll find something there that'll entertain you or inform you or give you some ideas of your own. And if you don't find what you're looking for there, feel free to drop me a message. Check me out on my Omnici Facebook page if you like, or my Dungeon Tutor Facebook page, with both groups that you can chat with. And I'd hope to see you there. So, until the next video, which there's still more to come, thanks for joining me. Until that next time, farewell.